Welcome to Cigar Church. We're once again at 2nd Street Cigar Company in Edmond, Oklahoma. We're here to enjoy a fine cigar together and talk about Jesus. And one thing we love about this channel is where our passion for cigars and our love for Jesus come together. And today we've got something special. We've got Dan to my left, or Nicky D that we like to call him. We got Steve to my right. And we are going to do something. If you've noticed, we don't have cigars yet. We're going to do something really fun today. I have selected 3 cigars. I'm not going to pick them up just yet because I don't want to mess up the order. I might drop them or whatever. But I've picked out 3 Robusto cigars. All of them have a very similar look. All of them, the wrapper is similar in color. And we are randomly going to pick one of those cigars each to smoke. My friend Alan, who was in episode 5, our last episode, has randomized these for us, and he's wrote down which one is which, so I don't even know which ones are which. We're going to guess. After we light these, we're going to talk through them a little bit. We're going to enjoy them for a few minutes together, and then we're going to kind of talk through them and see if we can guess which cigar we have. So here are 3 cigars. The number, well, I don't know which number it is, but one of the cigars is the number 9 by Liga Privada. Wonderful smoke. Drew Estate puts that out. Amazing cigar. One of my top favorites. I'm hoping that's the one I get because I think I'll be able to recognize it just right off the bat. That's the one you want.
That's the one I want.
So who knows? One of the other cigars is the Last Rites by Black Label Trading Company. A wonderful cigar in its own right as well. And then the third one is the Tabernacle Havana seed. And so we've been told that's going to be the wild card. I've smoked all 3 of those. Dan, have you smoked all 3 of those? Which ones of those have you smoked?
The Liga is the only one I've smoked, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Now, I did just have a Black Label cigar.
The Salvation,
Wednesday.
right?
Right, I had the Salvation on Wednesday, so maybe that'll help me out.
Maybe. Steve, have you smoked all 3 of those?
Not all 3, the Liga, but I've had Tabernacle, but I had other cigars that they make, so
right.
That might help.
Right. Okay. So this is going to be a really interesting taste test. So I'm going to start with Steve. We normally go to you first for everything. Steve, 1, 2, or 3? Which one do you want?
You must choose.
1.
Number 1. There's your cigar, my friend. 2 or 3?
I'll go 2.
2. Fine. So let's hold them up for the camera. We got a brand new camera from. Let's put them up here as far as we can. You can see how similar they are in wrapper, and they're the exact same size. Exact same vitola there, everything. So let's see what they are. So gentlemen, cut your cigar, kind of get a nose of it. I'm already getting I think I know which one I got. That filler. I think I know. What are you guys thinking? It's different? It's different?
The cold draw is nice.
Here's going to be a win. The win, if we can guess all 3 of these, that will be a phenomenal thing. That would be amazing. I don't think it's going to happen. But if we can guess all 3 of these and we all 3 enjoy the cigar, that's the big win right there. So let's see what happens, all right? So you guys are a little ahead of me on that toast. Dan, you're the first one to give us a. What are your thoughts so far? It's first draw. What's your take?
There's definitely some nuttiness in it. On the cold draw, I actually got a little bit of a raisin.
Really?
Taste to it.
A raisin taste. Okay. Steve, you both V-cut, didn't you?
Yep.
I straight cut mine. All right.
V-cut. I normally V-cut.
Kind of sweet pepper.
There's no pepper in this one. None at all.
No pepper at all. No pepper. You got a sweet pepper in yours. I'm getting kind of some earthy, some leathery, very oily.
Yours looks a little oily. I mean, it's sheen.
Yeah. I got a little more sheen. A little sloppy at the top. I'm already getting wet there. That's thanks a lot in episode 3 for the goat. Yeah, that was wonderful. That was wonderful. Anybody want to take a quick guess, or do you want to sit and smoke it for just a minute? You're looking them up, trying to see which one it is.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is not the Liga.
I don't think this is it.
I think mine's the Liga. That's my early guess. I mean,
So far we're lining up then.
It is.
I don't think mine's not the Liga.
You're fast smoking it again there, bud.
Well,
Let it set for a second.
I'm retroing. I'm trying to do everything I can.
So here's the interesting thing about doing this, and we don't have enough time to do this on video, and maybe we could smoke a little bit down and cut out of it a little bit. I don't know, but you really got to dig into it just a little bit and let it simmer. Let it get a few draws off of it, and even get past that first third of the cigar to really start to pick up the flavor profiles. And so I'm not real sure that just in the first 30 seconds or minute of the cigar we can figure out which one we've got. So
yeah, and saying that, if you're new to cigars, that's something to remember is a cigar normally it changes as you burn through it. It's usually broke up into thirds, and so each one will have slightly different flavor notes. So you may taste something at the beginning of the cigar that you don't get in the middle, and then it'll finish with something completely different. So
yeah.
something to remember.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? Do you like them so far?
Yeah, no, it's solid.
So both of you said you've had the number 9, but not the other two.
Nope.
You've had other stuff from Tabernacle, both of you, correct? But
Yeah.
not the Havana seed. So would you say that if you did not get the number 9, that you are satisfied with those cigars?
Yes.
Something you smoke
yeah.
again?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, good. Very
100%.
good. Very good. Very good.
It's a stronger
One of the
cigar.
reasons.
It's a stronger cigar.
So do you think it's stronger than the number 9, or because you think it's not the number 9? So is it? I mean, the number 9's a very strong cigar.
It is.
Yeah. I'm getting an opinion here. I think I know what everybody's smoking.
I think I know what I have.
I
Maybe.
think I know what everybody's smoking.
I'm leaning towards the last Rites.
Are you? What are you leaning towards?
I was leaning toward the Tabernacle.
Okay. All right, do we want to take a few more draws to experience them a little bit more and talk about something else before we take our guesses?
Do you think them differently? You said you already think you know what we have.
I think I know what you guys have. I know what I've got. If
You got
this
the
isn't if this isn't the one I think it is, if this isn't the one I think it is, I'm going to be extremely surprised. And maybe that's the case, and that's something we can talk about because
Interesting.
I mean I've told you before I don't have the palate to really get the complexities of a lot of cigars. I try. But for me, I mean, I can tell like this is a specific cigar, but when I've got 3 of them that I just don't know, I don't have that visual of the band to say, oh yeah, this is what it is. I may be wrong.
Yeah. I'm going off of the wrapper some.
Okay.
I mean, they're so close. I'm not the color, obviously, but just in the construction, just looking at it. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. All 3 of these are actually 3 of my favorite cigar brands. So I'm glad I got to introduce you guys to at least a couple of them. That would be good. So let's do this. Let's move on with the show.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about a few different things. And I don't know, maybe we'll ask you again after this next segment if we want to take a guess. And then if not, we might even save those guesses for the end of the episode. That might be a really good way to do it so we can get a good 20-minute smoke on these guys before we make a guess. That sound good?
Yep.
All right, very good. So let's move on then. So one thing we want to talk about today, and this has been one of the things that has just drawn me into cigar smoking. One thing we want to talk about is what is your favorite cigar smoking experience? Now, I'm going to say this. We're going to talk about, in the next episode, we're going to talk about cigars on vacation and going on vacation and planning out your cigars on vacations and that kind of thing. So we're going to leave the vacation side out of it. That's not to say that you can't talk about a trip or whatever, but we want to kind of just talk about the cigar smoking experience. What is the best, your favorite cigar smoking experience you've ever had? We'll start with you, Dan, since we let Steve pick the first cigar.
It's hard, but I think for me, experience-wise, I believe it was probably my first one in a lounge. Because we, as a lot of guys in the cigar smoking world, maybe you can't smoke at home, or you can't smoke inside your home.
Right.
I definitely can't. So smoke inside my home, I would be divorced pretty quickly. I'm just kidding. Love you, dear. But
she doesn't watch our shows, so come on.
Well,
she did hear that.
and I'll hear about that later. But smoking in a lounge with like-minded people, everybody's there to do the same thing. And as we've talked about in past episodes, the lounge is very open and you meet people very easily in a cigar lounge. I mean, everybody's friendly and it's just one of those places that you get to know people. If you go to a lounge many times at all, you meet people. I've met so many wonderful people at the
Change my
lounge.
mind.
On the cigar, you've changed your mind?
Maybe,
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
But I think that would probably be, experience-wise, is my first lounge experience. I couldn't even tell you exactly what I was smoking the first time I went to the lounge. But, it was that experience. As far as my favorite cigar, we talking about that?
No. We'll talk about that another day. But,
Yeah, well.
that favorite experience. So what lounge was that? Where were you
That
at?
was at El Muerta.
Yeah.
We went in and we could smoke there.
So that was your very first lounge?
It was the first lounge.
Cool,
We'd been to a
okay,
cigar bar
okay.
a few times before that, and that was good. And we've been to several since then. We are actually, Steve and I are actually going to go to the cathedral in Tampa
In the Grand
in about a
Cathedral.
month.
That's yeah.
And that's
an
kind
awesome
of a bucket
place.
list
Yeah,
thing
awesome
for me.
place.
And we're going to see if we can get in and do some footage in there. So
Yeah.
we'll find out. Hopefully we can, and you guys can go along with us. But that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, wherever I travel, not talking about the trips necessarily, but when I travel, I go to different lounges. I enjoy going in and seeing, what cigars they have,
Yeah.
what's the environment like in those lounges. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve?
I mean, it probably sounds cliche, but is there really a bad smoking experience?
I've had one. I can talk about that if you want.
I've had bad cigars.
But what's your favorite
I can have a good
experience?
cigar, be by myself, have a good cigar, but not be a good smoking experience.
Right.
I like to be in the lounge around people, to talk, the conversation, what it leads to. That's the big part for me, more so than the actual cigar itself.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're around good people, it's hard to have a bad experience.
It is, and that's the beauty of cigar smoking, especially when you have a lounge like Omerta or Second Street or some of the other cigar lounges that we're going to be profiling over the course of our show. A lounge environment is so crucial. I mean, there's elements of the cigar world that you just have to have. You need to have a humidor with a really good selection, and some cigar lounges have pipe tobacco like Second Street has here. Some cigar lounges don't. Some cigar lounges are more of a bar where you've got a full service bar. Some are bring your own, and all. Those are all important. But what matters more than anything, in my opinion, is that environment. The way the lounge is set up. Is it a clean environment? Is it an environment that people feel comfortable and they can come and engage in conversation and build those friendships? And that is what makes it a wonderful experience. Like I've said before in other episodes, I've been smoking a really long time. And I've had a number of really amazing experiences. Just a couple weeks ago, sitting around a campfire with some of the guys down in Broken Bow, and just having that experience of the camaraderie around the campfire. That wasn't at a lounge, but you had those same types of deals. But for me, the best cigar smoking experience that I've had, and I hate to rub this in you guys' face, this is gonna sting a little, and I apologize. Are the nights that my wife and I sit on the back patio and smoke a cigar together. We both have very busy lives. We both have very demanding jobs. And when we have the time on a beautiful night to go sit on the back patio, whether we light a fire pit or we just sit back there and watch the sunset or whatever, and she lights one of her flavored cigars that I can't stand the smell of, and I light a good cigar to hopefully mask the smell of her flavored cigar. But we have this opportunity to just slow down in the day and talk, and that's just, to me, that's become, I've had some really amazing experiences, and I could go on for hours about some of the cool times that I've smoked cigars, but that to me is the best, and it's exactly what you guys have said.
You're saying that because I've been outside with my wife. She don't smoke cigars, but she's been in my presence.
Yes,
it just makes it's different.
It is different, and it's such a beautiful experience to be able to share that time, whether it's your wife or your kid or your dad or your best friend or whatever. It's that experience that really makes cigar smoking what it is, and that's the whole point of why we do what we do. When somebody asks, that's my first thing that I go to is the fellowship and that experience of being with each other. Now, like I say, we're going to talk a little bit more in our next episode about vacations and smoking cigars on vacations. I got a really fun story that I'll tell during that one, which is in my top 5 favorite cigar smoking experiences. But we'll hold that for them. What are your thoughts on the cigars right now, guys? Where are we at?
Changing.
Your mind's changing? So you thought you had the last Rites.
Man, I might be thinking the Tabernacle.
You think you might have that Havana Seed Tabernacle. What are your thoughts?
I think I'm still going to the Tabernacle. So
Okay.
we're it's going to be interesting.
I think one of you's right, because I still think I've got that Drew Estate. And one of the reasons I think it is, and this is, pull your cigar out. Put your cigar out here, guys. You just took a draw off of yours.
I know.
But Liga seems to just want to burn itself. And just wants to keep smoking after you've drawn, after it's sitting here, after it's rested. It just wants to keep smoking. And right now, looking at them, I can almost guarantee you yours is not the Liga. And yours has got a little bit of smoke going, but I've been watching. I think I've got the number 9. So, we want to go on? Do you want to take our guesses, or do we want to save it for the end of the episode?
Hang on, a little bit longer.
A little bit longer, okay.
I've already changed once, I might change again.
All right, so let's dive into the word then, because this is a cool text. This is one of my favorite. I said that in the last episode. Can every text be my favorite text? At least for today? Is that what we can do?
Well, if the whole text of the Bible is your favorite text, it's all.
That's true. That's true, Dan. That's
I like
true.
Genesis 1 through Revelation
21. Yeah, there you go. All right, so today's text. So our text today is a great text, one of my favorite texts, and we're going to look at is in Matthew chapter 18. And in your text, it probably has the title of the unmerciful servant. And this is just, to me, it's a tough text. It's a hard text to process through, but it's a beautiful text to understand the heart of God, the heart of our Father in heaven. And so starting in verse 21 of chapter 18, it says, "Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, 'Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother when he sins against me?' Up to 7 times. And now I want to stop there, because this is a really important question. How many times should I forgive somebody? I don't know about you guys, but I've had friends in my life or relationships in my life where you just feel like you're constantly getting hurt by that person. How many times do we forgive them? And Peter, in his self-righteousness, says, should I forgive 7 times? And 7 sounds like a lot. Should I let somebody take advantage of me? Should I let somebody walk all over me? Should I let somebody hurt me 7 times, Jesus? And as an American, as Western people, we look at this and go, man, 7 times. But what Peter's saying is that's the 7 number is a really important number for the Jewish people. It's a number of completion. It's a totality. And so he's asking giving a very spiritual question here. Should I completely forgive them? Should I totally forgive them? And Jesus' response is unbelievably profound. It says, Jesus answered in verse 22, "I tell you, not 7 times," and depending on your translation, it either says, but 77 times or 70 times 7. Now, if it's 77 times, that's a huge number. That's 11 times, what he said. But 7 times 70, I don't know my math very well. What is that? Anybody want to venture? 490? Is that good?
Yeah.
I got guys behind the camera going, yeah, that's the right number. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But I don't like getting wronged once or twice or 3 times or 7 times. I had a good friend in college steal from me, and it just wrecked our relationship. I mean, it was a big deal, and he sinned against me that one time, and I still struggle with forgiving him. I can't imagine 7 times, let alone 7 times 70. That's a big deal. What are your thoughts so far on this, like with Jesus' answer?
Well, I think he's going away from, it's interesting. Can I forgive him 7 times? And that's almost like you got a little clicker in your hand. It's like, oh, there's 1, whoop, there's 2. And I think when he was saying the 7 times 70, he's not saying, okay, it's 490, so you better dial up that clicker. I think he's basically saying it's unlimited. You need to have a forgiving heart. If they're doing something against you, maybe you need to reevaluate that relationship as far as, how much you're spending with this person. But as far as the forgiveness aspects, I think it's important for us to have that forgiving attitude and say, this person may be struggling, may be doing something. Who knows what the issues there are. Yeah. And I think what Jesus is saying is have a forgiving heart.
Dan, that's powerful. That's really important, because even if that number was 7,000, right?
Yeah.
If you're keeping count, if you're taking, like if you're every single time, okay, that's another time, you're getting one more time closer to me cutting you off,
right?
Or me, doing whatever, then your heart is still not in the same place that Christ's heart is.
A lot of people have a hard time differentiating forgiveness and forgetting.
Yeah.
You don't forget what they've done to you, but you need to forgive them.
Yeah.
Not only for them, but more so for you.
Well, that cliche,
For
forgive and forget,
Yeah.
isn't scripture. It's a cliche, right? And that's a powerful point. Because forgiving doesn't mean you let them continue to trample over. It doesn't mean you're giving them the full access that they once had in your life. And that's big. So let's go on, because I think both of you guys are saying something that Jesus is going to reveal here. In verse 23 is where we left off. He said, therefore, and he goes into a parable, which is Jesus' way of taking things that we know of in this world, things we can understand, and giving us a kingdom value through something we can easily process. He says, therefore, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. As he began to settle the settlement, a man who owed him 10,000 talents, which we don't, 10,000 talents that doesn't make sense to us, but that is more money than a single person could pay back in an entire lifetime. That's what you need to understand on this text, is that this person could not in any way repay the debt he owed. So he owed 10,000 talents. So this man who owed 10,000 talents was brought to him. Since he was not able to pay, the master ordered that he and his wife and his children and all that he had be sold to repay the debt. So this is a pretty, serious thing, that him and his wife and kids are all sold into slavery, and all of his possessions, his cattle, his house, and all that auctioned off, and to try to repay even just a small portion of the debt that he owed. And I don't know about you, but if I was in that situation, I would lose my mind. And in verse 26, the servant fell to his knees before him. Be patient with me, he begged, and I will pay back everything. He's making a claim that he can't stand behind. There's no way. The servant's master took pity on him, canceled all the debt, and let him go. So let's chew on that. Let's look at that idea for a second. You have this king, this powerful man, who has the right in that culture to sell this guy and his family off into slavery, as wrong as that is, to sell him off to pay this debt, because this guy took on a debt knowing full well that he wouldn't be able to pay it back. He begs him for his life. He begs him for his family's life. He begs him for mercy. And this king says, yeah, okay, I'm canceling your debt. Let's talk about that relief. How do you think this guy felt in that moment?
It's amazing. All of us have probably at some point paid off a credit card or paid off a car loan or paid off a mortgage or whatever. And how crazy, how amazing does it feel when you do that?
Yeah.
But to have something canceled for somebody to come in and say, you know what?
Or you didn't have to pay it. Yeah.
I
that's
don't,
huge.
Outside of what Jesus did for us, I think it's hard to understand that. And so, what he did was amazing.
Yeah, and I think for the guy, the servant, that's just. But think about the heart of the king, who had every right to claim the life of him and his family, but chose not to. Let's talk about that mercy. What does that mercy and that grace and that look like? Have you guys experienced anything even remotely like that? Other than your relationship with Christ, right? Because that's the point of this, right? Is that this is representative of the Heavenly Father forgiving us of our sins, and we get that. But
I felt the relief of me forgiving somebody that hurt me in the past, and what that relief I felt from that. I don't know if I ever had anybody confront me or forgive me, but the other way, it's just is powerful to forgive somebody, and that relief you felt that you held on to and held on to and held on to.
Yeah, man. What if this was you? If you were the servant, what would you do leaving this place? And I know we know the story. We've all read the story. But what if your debt was forgiven to that level? What kind of attitude would you have moving forward? How would you respond to the people around you?
You want to pay it forward.
Yeah.
Do the same thing.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Pay it forward.
Yeah. And I think that's the right attitude. But in this story, we see this in verse 28. But when the servant went out, this one that was forgiven, when he went out, he found one of his fellow servants, not somebody under him, but just somebody on the same level, that owed him 100 denarii. Now, 100 denarii is not much. You just think of $100, right? Owed him $100. And he grabbed him and began to choke him, physically got on this dude. Pay back what you owe me, he demanded. He's looking at this as an opportunity. My debt was canceled. Now I can get ahead of the game. I can take advantage of this other servant that owes me, and I can get ahead of the game. His fellow servant fell to his knees and begged him, be patient with me and I'll pay you back. Says the exact same thing to him, which is really interesting. But he refused. Instead, he went off and had the man thrown into prison until he could pay the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were greatly distressed and went and told their master everything that happened. Here's where the story gets very, very difficult. He says, then the master called the servant in. You wicked servant, he said, I canceled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant just as I had mercy on you? In anger, his master turned him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all he owed. This, then, is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother from your heart. Now, here's what bothers me about this text. I had a conversation actually in a cigar lounge about 3 years ago, I think it was, with a gentleman that I adored. Oh my gosh, I love this guy. And if he's watching, he's going to know this exact story. But he asked me. He has some background in being a pastor himself for a while, and he said that this text is one of the hardest texts when he was a pastor to get past, and one of the ones that caused him to struggle with his faith a little bit. That you have this master, which the whole point of it is to see the forgiveness and the mercy of the master, right? But then when the servant is unforgiving and doesn't forgive the other servant like his master forgave him, then you see this scary part of the master. And this idea that the master was willing to be merciful. But then when he found out that his servant wasn't merciful, it says, in his anger, the master turned him over to the jailer to be tortured and beaten until he should pay back off the debt. I mean, how do the two go together? How can you have a merciful servant or a merciful master and then an angry master that's willing to turn this person over to be tortured? Have you guys contemplated that? Nobody wants to talk on that. Well, that's a tough one.
It is. It's real tough.
Yeah.
I think here's what Jesus' point was. He's forgiven us everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you accept Christ, He forgives everything we've done, from the really big stuff to the really small stuff to the nature of sin that dwells within us constantly. But how many times do, even as hard as we try, we still harbor unforgiveness from time to time? We're essentially doing the same thing, and that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not forgiving somebody else, because God literally wiped the slate clean for me, what right do I have to hold something against somebody else? Yeah. Exactly.
And I think this is the point, right? The point isn't to show how vengeful God can be. Mm-mm. Remember, this is a parable. This isn't a true story. It is to show us a kingdom value. The point of it is to show how merciful God is, and the fact that He expects us to have that same mercy to those around us, knowing full well that this is a lifelong pursuit, knowing full well that as His servants we do struggle with forgiveness, we do struggle with showing the same mercy. But when, like you said earlier, this feeling of relief, whether it's a credit card paid off or a mortgage paid off or it's forgiveness offered to somebody else, this sense of relief that we have felt from the mercy that God has showed us, that should be our motivating factor to show mercy to other people. And we know we're going to struggle with that. We know from conversations with people around us and many conversations in the cigar lounge and many conversations with family members and just conversations in our own head that we're going to struggle with forgiveness. Yeah. We're going to struggle with this.
A lot of people do.
But this should be our encouragement when we struggle with it, that God is willing to show us mercy and has shown us mercy. But that's how serious it is, is that we have to respond with showing mercy to others. Other thoughts? I mean, it's a powerful text. It's a scary text, but it's also an encouraging text.
It is.
I
like to tell people who struggle with forgiving somebody that you don't have to actually confront them. Write a letter. Write a letter, or whether you give it to them or not, that's one thing, but just write it. Just that way helps forgive you, helps your heart.
Yeah.
Knowing you forgave them, then you decide to give it to them, great. If not,
and that gives them time to process it too on their own time. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. In the comments, have you ever had to forgive somebody? I know you have, but have you ever had to forgive somebody that was very difficult to forgive? Maybe just tell us a little bit about the story. Maybe talk to us about how you handled that and what you're still struggling with. I know from our private conversations that I don't want to get into on camera. I'm struggling with forgiveness right now, and I know that we all are struggling with forgiving others, and so maybe you are as well, and maybe you've got some tips for us. Maybe you have some things that you can add to the conversation in the comments and help us work through our unforgiveness so that we're not like this unmerciful servant. And so, good discussion, guys. We hope that's been good for you. So, we still have some business to attend to. I am 100% sure I know my cigar.
You got the easy one.
I got the easy
Yeah.
one. I did get the easy one. You say it's easy because we've all smoked that one.
Yeah.
But I think I could have picked out any one of the three, but I think I got the easy one. So, who wants to go first? You went first picking. Do you want to go first in determining what you got?
I'm going to go with my first thought. Just based on the sweetness to it, I'm going to go with the Last Rites.
You think you got the Black Label Company, Black Label Trading Company, Last Rites. Okay.
And I'm sticking with the Tabernacle, and I do want to say, remember I told you on the cold draw, I had a little bit of that raisiny sweet tobacco.
Yeah.
It disappeared in the first third. It was a little different, more leathery, nutty. In the middle, that sweetness has come back, and it is absolutely amazing. So whether I'm right or not, I'm going to find out what this is, buy some more, and I consider myself a winner.
Do you like that one now?
This one's
whatever it is
fantastic.
that's in your rotation.
This one, honestly, is probably going to go within my top 10.
Nice. Very good. What about, is that one you'll smoke again?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. So I think all three of them, you guys know the number 9, so all three of these are good smokers for us. So I am going to go with the number 9.
We're always telling people what we're smoking. Tell us what you're smoking out there as you're watching this video.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
honest.
Yeah, in the comments, if maybe you're smoking one of these, tell us what you think about it.
Yeah.
And let us know what you're smoking and give us some suggestions of cigars to smoke. We're 6 episodes into this, and so between the 3 of us and a couple of the guests that we've had, we've smoked quite a few cigars, over 20 cigars on film. And it's film. Like, does anybody film anything anymore on camera? And let us know if there's something you think we should try. And feel free to send us cigars too. Send us a private message. We'll tell you how to send us something if you want us to try something on film. So I'm going to grab the note here, and like I say, Alan from our last episode, I picked these cigars out. These were some that I wanted to see if we could pick up on, but I had Alan put these in the bags for us, and so I have no idea. I think we're all right. How awesome would that be if all 3 of us got them right? I think we're all right. How crazy would it be if none of us got it right? That would be that would be the best. Okay. So what number did you have?
1.
You had number 1, and you thought that was the
Last Rites.
You are wrong.
Tabernacle?
You are wrong. That's all I'm going to say. What did you think you had?
Tabernacle.
You think you had the Tabernacle. And what number did you have?
2.
You were wrong as well.
Good flip flop.
You were wrong as well. I had
second-
bag number 3, and guess what? I was right. I mean, it was the easy one though, right?
I almost changed.
I had to make it easy. So
that-
you had bag 1,
I had the foundation before. I had the
Salvation.
Wise Man.
Oh, the Wise Man. Yeah,
And it had that kind of similar a little bit.
Yeah. So you had the Tabernacle Havana seed. So you're enjoying that, right? So that means that
With
you
Dan's
had the
confidence
last
swayed
right.
me.
Very good.
But
Very good.
I will get more of these.
Very good. All 3 of these are phenomenal cigars. If you're with Drew Estate, Liga Privada there, or Black Label or Tabernacle, good job, guys. These are phenomenal cigars. We got 1 out of 3 right, and that's okay. To be honest, I'm gonna just say it on camera. If I wouldn't have got the number 9, I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to pick it out. So I'm glad, God was showing some favor to me right there. So anyways, very good. Anything else you guys want to add to this episode before we sign off?
I think what's been said.
Yeah. You wanted to tickle the bell?
Oh, yeah. If you like what you see, subscribe to our channel. Tickle the little bell icon, and you'll be notified when new videos drop.
It's just wrong.
And if you guys want to put in the comments some better way for him to say that, just the picture of him tickling a bell. Just I don't know.
Yeah. But no, seriously, click the bell. It sounds boring to me. Click the bell, and you'll be notified when new videos drop, because we do plan on getting some shorts dropping. Soon.
Yeah.
We should already have some out. And we hope to be dropping those more and more.
Yeah,
So.
and all of our episodes drop on Friday night at 8 o'clock Central Time.
Yep.
But as I think Dan said just a second ago, or earlier in the episode, these guys are going without me to Tampa. They're going to hit some cigar lounges there. They're going to take the camera with them and do some recording if they're given permission. So we're going to have some road trip stuff that won't drop on Friday nights, just when we get those ready and out there. So if you've got that bell tickled.
Yep.
I can't even say it, man.
If
the bell is tickled, you'll know when those other episodes drop. And so just be looking for those as they come out. Until then, smoke a fine cigar to the glory of God. Hey, this is Clay, Dan, and Steve with Cigar Church. And we're excited that you've joined us for our first few episodes. we're looking forward to where this is going and the things that we're going to be able to do, the ministry that we're going to be able to accomplish through this channel.
Yeah, and if you like the channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon to be notified when new videos drop.
And if you got any prayer requests, please comment below. We'd love to pray for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. But we want to do something. If you are in the Oklahoma City area, we want to invite you to join us on March 24th and March 31st. That's Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday. To join us here in our lounge, our home lounge of Omerta Cigar Company on the south side of Oklahoma City. We're going to do what we're going to call Cigar Church Live at 9 a.m. both of those mornings. We're going to meet right here. We're going to celebrate Jesus. We're going to have a Bible study in person. We're going to do a little bit of worship, and we're going to enjoy a couple of cigars to the glory of God. And so would you join us on March 24th and 31st? And let's just have a good time enjoying a fine cigar to the glory of God.